We welcome you into week 2 of the Mike Turner Show as Carson-Newman defeats the Saint Augustine's Falcons 41-14 at Berktar Stadium. Hello everyone, I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Turner. Mike, congrats, a week 2 win. Probably not the start that you were looking for, only ahead 13-7 at the break, but certainly accounted for yourselves well in the second half.
Well, it was totally opposite the start that we talked about and we were looking for. It was a nightmare of a start. We made probably as many mistakes as you could possibly make in 2 or 3 series there. We were very, very fortunate that we didn't turn the ball over. We did have to punt it deep, but at least we weren't turning the ball over. And so grateful for our defense and those kids, how they went on and played alert and heads-up defense and put a stop on Saint Aug. Allowed us to get our motor running a little bit. But I think and I hope and I pray we learned a great lesson yesterday. This football team is good enough to be a good football team as long as we go fast all the time. We can't have mental letdowns and not thinking positive and thinking fast that we need to play that way. So we can do that. We can function well as a football team. If we don't, then we end up in a struggle situation.
You look at that 3 straight 3-and-outs for the offense to start the game. A couple of those aided by pre-snap penalties. Didn't have any of those against Pikeville. Can you point to anything that was a difference between week 1, week 2 in that regard?
I think it's your mental preparation. You can get coached all week. You can watch video. You can do in practice. You can be responsible there. You can have great meetings on the day of the game and getting ready, but getting yourself ready to go at another tempo, getting yourself ready to go and to play at another level, which is the way you want to play at. That was an ordinary start, and we don't want to be an ordinary football team. All right, so we've got to learn to come out swinging when the bell rings.
At the same time, though, the defense did just that.
Absolutely.
Pikeville got the football on the Carson-Newman side of the 50 twice.
You mean Saint Aug.
St. Aug. Sorry, thank you. It's still on week 1.
That's it.
St. Aug got the football twice on Carson-Newman side of the 50 twice. No points to show for
it. That's what a defense is supposed to do, and they rallied just like they were supposed to, and they did that. And I mean, there's your ball game. You talk about playing somebody. The number one thing you want to do is get on them early. You don't want to let a football team with a lot of great athletes like St. Aug had have a chance to get happy on you. We almost let them get happy with our offense, but our defense kept them from getting happy, and that was the difference in the ball game.
Carson-Newman gets the win over the St. Augustine's Falcons 41-14. We'll take a look at the first half when we come back after this on the Mike Turner Show. Back on the Mike Turner Show as Carson-Newman triumphs over the St. Augustine's Falcons 41-14. Mike, you look at the first half, I had 13-7 at the halftime break. Again, we touched on it the first segment, 3 3-and-outs to start, but then kind of got the offense on track, a 7-play, 60-yard drive capped off by a Jared Dillingham score. What caused the offense to click on that possession?
I think mental preparation. I think being prepared the minute you step across that line, having a mindset that I know my responsibility. I know that there's 10 other guys there depend on me to do my job. We're all counting each other, and they went down the field and handled that, and scored every time we had the ball there till the end when we did hold it down, throttle it down a little bit.
Big plays got you a few touchdowns in that game.
Absolutely.
Especially Dorian Miller. Came into that game leading the country in yards per reception at 44 touch. And that's a stat that you think, oh, that's going to go down. No. 65 yards a snag against the Falcons. What enabled him to perform in that manner?
Well, I'm so proud of Dorian. He has really worked hard in the off season, in the summer, and this fall to build himself as a great receiver and a go-to guy in this offense. One of the first things that happened was on a play-action pass, and they were up with their forced defender close to the line of scrimmage, and we show play action, and he's up the field to try to take the pitch, and we run the play action pass to Dorian, which means there's nobody left in the middle of the field. So it took protection. It took a great throw by Derek, a great fake by Derek, and a great throw, but Dorian ran a great route, broke it just where he's supposed to break it, and like I said, the force guy's up, there's nobody back in the middle of the field.
On top of that, you have 9 different running backs touch the ball in that game and carry for at least 10 yards. Antonio Wimbush held out pretty much the entirety of the second half. How big was that to get some guys some carries in his absence?
Oh, it was great value. You want guys that you can practice. You can do all those kind of things, but you get game snaps where there's a different intensity, and things have to be automatic. Running backs are gifted individuals. We try to tell our coaches, hey, teach them the first step, teach them how to make the right pocket, then get out of the way. You know what I mean? Let a running back be a running back. He's gifted. So we've got to get those kids to understand, hey, you got to get game reps. You got to get them at that kind of tempo. And if you want to play, you got to execute. Okay, you got to execute.
Speaking of execution, the defense, Saheem Stupart, 11 tackles. Antonio Henderson, 10 tackles. You guys lived behind the line of scrimmage, 8 tackles for loss on the day. What do you owe that to?
Well, obviously, number one, you're getting a good push up front. Okay, I think our defensive staff had a great plan. The biggest part of that plan was to not let the quarterback break containment. The few times that he did, they made big plays off of that. They kept drives alive when it was 3rd and long. But those kids up front had a great push. We had linebackers coming up the field on the blitz or stunt, and they just played with that kind of enthusiasm. They were eager to get there and eager to make a play. And in football, it's every person out there, every person, no matter what position you play. Hey, it's your job when the ball snaps, make a play. All right, you may not run 100 yards. You may make the block that goes 100 yards. You may not make the tackle, but you push the line of scrimmage back far enough that the linebacker running can make a tackle.
Carson-Newman up 13-7 at the halftime break on St. Aug, and we take a look at the first half highlights.
Holbert gets off the punt, turns over, and will come down to Joyner at the 45-yard line. And Joyner blitzkrieged by Jarvis Green. Left first quarter, no score, but the Falcons with 2nd down and 6 to go from the Eagle 41. Johnson takes the shotgun snap, throws a screen to the left side. Gleason, he's hitting the backfield and dropped for a loss back to the 46-yard line. Antonio Henderson behind Johnson on 4th and 1, left hash at the Eagle 28. Wide out each way. Johnson takes, handoff, right side. Gleason, he stumbles and gets hit in the backfield. Saheem Stupart again leading the charge, and the Eagles defense holds tight for a turnover on downs. Dillingham and Wimbush behind Evans. Throws a screen out to the right side, complete to the Bows at the 30. Shifty move to the 20 with a juke left. Spins inside the 15 before he's wrapped up at the 14-yard line by Davis. Gain of 23 through the air on the screen to Darvier to Bows. 1st and 10, Carson-Newman inside SAU's red zone. 2:43 left first quarter, no score. Eagles trying to light the lamp first. And Dillingham the split backs. 3 wide, 2 to the short side right, 1 wide side left. Evans takes, runs pitch to the left side, hits it for Dillingham to the 5. Dillingham lowers the shoulder, skies to the end zone. He's in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman.
No diggity, no doubt. Dillingham went into the end zone. He dove in, he lowered his shoulders, and he got that touchdown.
14:20 left in the second quarter. Eagles up 7-0. Johnson in the gun, takes the low snap from the knees. Drops back to pass, rolls right, pressured by Jarvis Green, and Jarvis Green drives him to the ground, deep in SAU territory, back along the right hashes at the 34. A sack for Jarvis Green. Eagles dialing up the blitz packages, and they are working with aplomb. 10:50 left in the second quarter. 7-0. Eagles with the lead with 1st and 10 from their own 41. Evans takes, throws the quick hitter, a quick slant to Miller, complete at the SAU 45. He's splitting the hashes. 10, 5, sayonara, touchdown, Carson-Newman. Dorian Miller takes the quick slant a la Jason Brown over the middle of the field, heads right between the hashes, and off 59 yards for the score. Eagles up 13-0 with 10:35 left in the second quarter.
Great play call by Mike Turner right there, getting that play action pass, the first one we've seen in this game after so long just running the ball, throwing it to Dorian Miller. Dorian Miller with that closing speed.
His right hash just above the scruff of the Eagle head. From the Carson-Newman 47, Eagles show blitz. Johnson takes the snap, and he is waylaid in the backfield. Antonio Henderson, the first man there.
Those are the first half highlights. Eagles up on the Falcons 13-7 at the break. Mike, what was your message in the locker room with the 6-point lead in hand?
Well, it was the number one thing when you got kids that they've played. You know what they're capable of and how they're capable of playing, and they've disappointed themselves, and they know who it was, and they know how it was, and they know the mistakes they've made. There's different ways to approach it, and we tried to approach it from the side like, let's play like we can play. Let's put that behind us, and let's go on and not let some play that happened in the first quarter affect how we're going to play in the second half. And to their credit, we came out in the second half and thank goodness we got it done. We made it happen in the second half.
4 straight possessions, 4 straight scores for the offense. Defense forces a couple turnovers. What was to you the highlight of the final 30 minutes?
I think the highlight of the whole game was that we had an offense that was struggling. We had a defense that was playing lights out, and I never heard anybody complain. All I heard was people encourage. That's a sign of a football team that's coming together. That's a sign of a football team that's got a future. And that was very, very critical at that time. And then when we can play a football game like that second half where we complement each other, you turn the ball over, we take it and go score, all right? We take it and go score and go long enough in a drive that you get to sit down and rest and drink some Powerade. So that's helping each other out.
It's not bad. Carson-Newman victorious over the Saint Augustine's Falcons. We'll take a look at the second half in totality when we come back after these messages on The Mike Turner Show. Back on The Mike Turner Show as Carson-Newman collects a 41-14 win over the Saint Augustine's Falcons in Week 2. I'm Adam Cavalier alongside the Eagles head man Mike Turner. Mike, talking about the second half, roll up more than 250 yards of total offense. Defense gives up a score late. But still, what more could you ask for out of a second half of football?
I think that was a great half of football, the way Carson-Newman's supposed to play football. I thought we were sound in all the areas. We did give up a score, and that's certainly something that I know defense, Coach Slade and those guys didn't want to do. But we were playing people at that time, and it was time to play people. We've got 9 games in a row to go, and you got to be smart with that part. But boy, I like the way our kids are playing. They're playing hard. We finally got ourselves out of the funk in the first quarter and a half and started looking like a football team. And now I hope we do realize if we're going to be successful, that's the only way we can be successful. We play one way, and that's getting after it.
Jason Cook-Calhoun, defensive end, gets a pick dropping into pass coverage. How sweet is that to see a moment like that?
Oh, that's perfect. You work over those zone blitzes and the kids drop and those kind of things. And, a guy's playing with his hand on the ground all the time. For him to get a chance to get his hand on the ball, that's a special event. That's a memory.
What's your number one area of emphasis for defensively for them to get better? Because they've accounted for themselves pretty well in 2 straight games.
They've accounted very, very well for themselves. I think we've got to keep tightening up some things secondary-wise, and we've had different kids rolling in those positions to do that. You can never, ever get the pass rush that you want. You want a better pass rush out of the front 4, a more productive. They're rushing the passer, but you want a more productive pass rush so that you can drop the linebackers in coverage. So those things, it's a cleanup thing here, a cleanup thing there, but, thank goodness there's not anything about effort. All right, It's not about effort.
It felt like, too, you and I were talking during one of the breaks, when you can rotate Montel Presley with Jamarco Withrow, with Javon Barnes, with Brian Bembry, you've got some fearsome defensive linemen that don't have to play a ton of snaps now.
That's exactly right, and a kid knows now I don't have to worry about my tank. You know what I mean? I can burn my tank out. I can blow the ballast on that thing. And I've got somebody that can come in and spell me a few snaps or whatever, and you can go more wide open that way.
Carson-Newman gets the win over the St. Aug Falcons, and we'll take a look at the second half highlights.
Eagles have been flawless in the red zone so far this season, 8 for 8 inside the opposition's 20. Evans takes option to the right side, keeps it, juke move at the 5, lurches for the end zone. Did he get the nose across the goal line? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Carson-Newman.
No diggity, no doubt that Evans made a great play right there. He had great ball carrier vision. He cut it inside, and that's what's good about this offense is the backside players are great with their cutoff blocks from the backside.
Second down and 14 to go for the Eagles from their own 11. It's a draw for Williams up the middle. Williams, a good burst across the 20 and 25, angling left 30. Gets the first down before Hickman knocks him down from behind. DeBose to the short side left. Evans takes, rolls the pocket right, looks to throw. Out the flat right side, complete to Dorian Miller along the right sideline. Defender slips down. Miller on his horse. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Carson-Newman. Dorian Miller, 65 yards to pay dirt. He crests the century mark, and the Eagles lead it 26-7. SAU 1st and 10. Ball middle of the field with 5 wide for Johnson in the gun. Takes the snap, blitz comes, tunnel screen, right side, complete for Garris, and he's ripped down in the backfield by Ray Arterbridge. Read the tunnel screen well, a loss of 2 back to the 23. Right, Swinson the H-back, Blake flanks the tailback to the right of Johnson in the gun. Snap back, chest tight. Johnson lost the ball out of his hands, ball's free back at the 20, still on the turf, and the Eagles come away with it. Takes the snap. Leaps into the air. He's on top of the pile. Touchdown. Carson-Newman. Derek Evans, 2 scores on the ground, 2 scores through the air, and he has the Eagles up 33-7 with 10:34 left in the 4th quarter. Snap back, chest tight for Johnson. Settles, throws, picked off. Jason Cook-Calhoun intercepts it along the right sideline, 35-40, and knocked out across the 45, up at the 46 by the quarterback Johnson. Jason Cook-Calhoun back in zone coverage. He intercepts it and rumbles 27 yards up to midfield. What a read by the defensive end. 2nd and goal from the left hash at the 4. Give to Thomas. Thomas lowers his shoulder, and he blasts into the end zone over the left tackle. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. 5:46 left in the 4th quarter. It's Carson-Newman 40, Saint Augustine's 7 as the Eagles have put this one on ice.
Those are the second half highlights as Carson-Newman triumphs over the St. Augustine's Falcons 41-14. When we return on the Mike Turner Show, it's time for the Eagle Spotlight. That's after this. Back on the Mike Turner Show, I'm Adam Cavalier alongside the Eagles head man Mike Turner as Carson-Newman collects a 41-14 win in Week 2 over St. Augustine's. Time now for the Eagle Spotlight, and this week, Michael Watrang fortuitously shines it on Dorian Miller.
Playing wide receiver in Carson-Newman's offense is not glamorous. For Dorian Miller, the choice to come to Carson-Newman stretched further than the field. For the wide receiver, Coach Ken Sparks provided an opportunity to become a better man.
I came on my visit and I sat up in his office for like 45 minutes. Not one time did we talk about football. We talked about God and what kind of man he wanted me to be. So he was real influential in my life.
Miller is wearing cleats honoring the longtime CN mentor to remind him of why he came to Jefferson City. His position coach, Carl White, credits the senior pass catcher for helping his transition in his first year.
I tell you what, he's made my job a lot easier. I mean, just his presence and his leadership ability in our meeting room and on the practice field, he has been a true blessing to me, just by the way he goes about his business every day.
Joining Miller on the outside is senior Darvier DeBose. Between the duo, the Eagles' passing attack is in good hands. DeBose believes their experience will help between the lines and with the younger athletes.
Just going out every day and just doing your best and no loafing and just trying to set a good example for the freshmen. I hope that people will fear us, not only the veer, but us throwing the ball too. I mean, I think we have more than enough ability to be able to get at least 100 passing yards every game. So I think that's a goal we have and we can accomplish.
White sees the improvement on the field with Miller each day. With an experienced wide receiver, the coach hopes Miller is focused on being productive on each snap.
We're trying to make sure they understand that they're playmakers, and playmakers don't necessarily have to have the ball in their hands to make plays. Whether that's blocking or just getting to the right assignment, doing the right things, doing the little things necessary in order for everybody to make plays. And I think, sometimes it's the little things or the things that go, they're not on a stat sheet, but those little things, make sure you're running 100% each and every time. But I think it's just a mindset and it's a culture that needs to be created in that meeting room and with your guys to understand that, you're not going to get the ball every time. But there still are other things you can do to contribute to make this offense successful.
For Miller, success will always come down to the impact he is having on his teammates and the people around him. As one of the team's leaders, his job is not just to produce on the field, it's to prepare the next generation of CN football players.
Not really consider myself a leader until now, but I feel like my job is to make sure that the guys under me, guys I play with, I feel like if I don't make them better each and every day, then I'm failing them. And by me doing that, it also makes me better. So I embrace the leadership role.
While the season is in its infancy, Miller looked to the future. The Georgia native said that his career will be a success if he follows through on his promise to coach Sparks in becoming a better man. For the Mike Turner Show, I'm Michael Wattrang.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Wattrang. Mike, we plan these packages out in advance,
Yes.
and I don't know if there's been one that's been better timed than this one.
That was Johnny on the spot right there, buddy. No question.
Dorian, I mean, what more can you say about the guy coming into his senior year, and what an explosive start?
Oh, a great explosive start and well-deserved. It's not by accident. He has put the effort in with it by himself, working with our quarterbacks. He's a well-thought-of teammate. He's a teammate that you know that's there with you. He's going to get into the grind of it with you, and he's not going to be a guy that lets you down.
Turn your attention now to the Wingate Bulldogs. Their home opener probably be fired up for the first ever night game in Irwin Belk Stadium history. But what sticks out to you about Joe Reich's group?
Well, they're a hard-nosed football team. They're on offense right now. They're running the ball downhill more than they have. 2 and 3 tight end sets to get angles on people, a little power look. It's been a year or two, and we've got to be able to go start fast against them. It's going to be first night there, night game. They're going to be excited and all pumped up, and we've got to answer the bell. Got to answer the bell at 6 o'clock on Saturday night.
You talk about running downhill. Blake Hayes, Lawrence Pittman, 2 very talented running backs.
Absolutely.
What sticks out to you about those 2?
Well, those are hard guys to tackle. Okay, you're not going to arm tackle one of those 2 guys. Okay, you've got to wrap up, take them to the ground. We've got to get great movement out of our defensive line and linebackers. You can't let them get a gap in a zone on you where they'll take it and rip it. Got to be a great job, patience in the secondary. You can't allow that safety to come run up to make a tackle, and then boom, here comes a play action pass over the top of you. So it's going to take great patience. It's going to take great effort, concentration. But I think our kids are ready. They know it's important that this starts the South Atlantic Conference season this week, and this is the beginning.
Mike, pleasure as always. Final thoughts from a Week 2 win over St. Augustine's.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you, buddy.
That is Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Turner. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been the Mike Turner Show. Thanks for watching.